A rough week at CarMax. The Goochland-based company is now confirming hundreds of layoffs.
In fact, about 350 workers were let go nationwide, including about 2 dozen in this area.
All of the key metrics, they missed. And if you take a look at earnings per share, revenue, unit sales, all of them were below expectations. This is the stat that really spooked the street about CarMax and the results that they posted. The loan loss provisions for the quarter up 26.3% compared to last year.
Right now, I'm standing in the middle of a CarMax lot, and something here is very, very wrong. Cars are packed so tight they're spilling into the aisles. Not just in the back, not just in the corners, in the middle of the driving lanes, bumper to bumper, row after row, as far as you can see. This isn't a busy dealership moving product. This is a stockpile. This is inventory that isn't selling. And sitting right in front of me is a 2024 Jeep Wagoneer with a $56,000 price tag on the windshield. Sounds like a deal, right? Here's the part that should make your jaw drop. The person who drove this thing off the lot brand new, just over a year ago, paid close to $100,000 for it. 1 year later, it's sitting here, under these lot lights, unsold, unwanted, and worth roughly half of what they originally paid. That's $50,000 gone. Not over 5 years, not after a wreck, in 12 months. And that buyer? They didn't do anything wrong. They walked into a dealership, they believed in the product, they signed the paperwork, and they drove away thinking they'd made a solid purchase. Now, they're the cautionary tale on a used car lot. But here's what makes this story so much bigger than one bad Jeep deal. This Wagoneer is not the exception. It's the pattern, and it's happening all across this lot and every CarMax lot in the country, because CarMax built their entire business empire on one very simple model. Buy a car, mark it up $2,400, sell it, repeat. For years, that formula printed money. No-haggle pricing, friendly showrooms, a brand that people trusted. It worked until it didn't. Right now, that $2,400 markup model is backfiring in spectacular fashion. CarMax has lost roughly half the value of their entire company in about 6 months. Their CEO has been shown the door. Class action lawsuits are piling up, and customers simply cannot afford what's sitting on these lots. There are forces strangling this company from every direction at once, and most people have no idea just how bad it's gotten or how directly it affects every single person shopping for a used car right now. So here's the question that should be keeping CarMax executives up at night. When your entire business model stops working, your customers can't afford your product, and the walls are closing in from every direction, what exactly do you do next? Here's how CarMax was supposed to work. And for a long time, it did. The model was dead simple. Go to auction, buy a used car, mark it up $2,400 to $2,600, sell it at a no-haggle price, and repeat that process across hundreds of locations and hundreds of thousands of vehicles every single year. No back and forth, no shady finance office games, just a clean, transparent number on the windshield and a handshake. That was the promise. That was the brand. And for a while, customers loved it. Compared to the traditional dealership experience, where a salesperson vanishes into a back office 17 times before magically finding a number that works, CarMax felt like a breath of fresh air. You knew what you were paying. You knew there was no negotiating. You either wanted the car at that price, or you didn't. Simple, honest, revolutionary even. But there's a fatal flaw buried inside that model, one that didn't matter when times were good and prices were reasonable. It only shows up when the market turns, and right now, it's showing up everywhere. The $2,400 markup only works when the price CarMax pays for a car is low enough that adding $2,400 still lands somewhere a real buyer can actually afford. That's the whole equation. And right now, that equation is broken. Walk this lot, and the proof is right in front of you. There's a Honda Accord, not a luxury car, not a sports car, a regular everyday family sedan, sitting here with a sticker price of $24,000. CarMax marked it up their standard amount, put it on the lot, and called it a day. The problem? To finance that Accord through CarMax, one buyer was looking at an interest rate of 22.95%. That's not a typo. 22.95%, which works out to $617 every single month for a mid-range used sedan. $617 a month. That's more than a lot of people's rent checks. That is what CarMax's model produces when the underlying price of the car is too high to begin with, and interest rates are sitting at levels we haven't seen in decades. You take an already inflated sticker price, stack a $2,400 markup on top, pour high-interest financing over the whole thing, and what you end up with is a monthly payment completely out of reach for the average American family. CarMax can see the problem. They've tried trimming prices here and there, shaving off a few percent, adjusting a few stickers. But a few percent doesn't fix a systemic collapse. It's like putting a bandage on a broken leg and calling it surgery. The $2,400 markup model was built for a different market. A market where supply was steady, prices were fair, and buyers had room to breathe financially. That market is gone, and CarMax is now trapped inside a business model that made them billions and is now quietly dismantling everything they built. The question is, how did it get this bad? And why can't they just fix it? That's where the story gets complicated. To understand why CarMax cannot just lower their prices and move on, you have to understand what is actually happening in the used car market right now. Because this is not just a CarMax problem. This is a market that has locked itself into a trap, and everyone inside it is feeling the walls close in. It all comes down to supply and demand, but not in the way most people think. Yes, demand is lower. Fewer people are buying cars right now. Budgets are tighter. Interest rates are painful, and consumers are spooked. You would think that would mean prices drop. That's how basic economics is supposed to work. Less demand, lower prices. Except that's not what's happening, because the supply side of this equation collapsed at exactly the same time. Here's the mechanism. Used cars do not appear out of thin air. They enter the market when someone trades in their old vehicle to buy a new one. That trade-in gets cleaned up and eventually ends up at auction where dealers like CarMax compete to buy it. That's the pipeline. And right now, that pipeline is running dry. Why? Because people are holding on to their cars. When new car prices shot through the roof and interest rates followed, millions of Americans decided to just keep driving what they already had. Fewer trade-ins mean fewer used cars flowing into the system. And fewer cars at auction means every dealer in the country is fighting over a shrinking pool of available inventory. I see this firsthand every single week. At the auctions I attend, the same number of dealers show up, but there are fewer cars on the block. Everyone still needs to fill their lot. So even though we're all selling fewer cars, we're still bidding just as hard, sometimes harder, for the cars that do show up. That competition keeps auction prices stubbornly, almost insultingly high. Walk this CarMax lot and you can see the result. A 2022 Toyota Tundra SR with 73,000 miles, $37,000. A 2020 RAV4 XLE with just 34,000 miles, $24,000, not far off the price of a brand new one at a Toyota dealership right now. These are not prices that reflect a cooling market. And here's the cruel irony. Demand is down and supply is down. But because supply fell faster and harder, prices never corrected the way they should have. The market got stuck. Dealers are paying too much for cars at auction and passing that cost straight to buyers already stretched beyond their limits. It's a standoff. Nobody wins. Prices stay high, buyers stay away, and inventory piles up on lots across the country. But the market squeeze is only half the story, because on the other side of this equation, the American consumer is in serious trouble. Before we go further, if you want to know exactly which cars to stay away from in 2026, I've put together a free ebook, Avoid These 17 Cars in 2026. It covers the models most likely to drain your wallet in repairs, depreciation, and financing traps, including some sitting right here on a CarMax lot. Link is in the description. Download it free. Now, back to CarMax. Here's the part of this story that nobody in the car industry wants to talk about out loud. The market is broken, yes. Supply is tight, yes. But underneath all of that, there is a consumer crisis unfolding in real time, and it is making everything worse. The average American family is getting crushed right now. Not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly, steadily, month after month. Groceries cost more, rent costs more, insurance costs more, utilities cost more, and wages, for most people, have not come close to keeping pace with any of it. People are not buying fewer cars because they don't want them. They're buying fewer cars because they genuinely cannot afford them. And the numbers coming out of the car market should alarm everyone. Repossessions are up 40% over the last 3 years. 40%. That is not a blip. That is the highest level of repos the car market has ever recorded. Real families losing their vehicles because they took on a payment they could no longer carry. In many cases, a payment they probably shouldn't have been approved for in the first place. Delinquencies are spiking right alongside it. Buyers who signed up for high-interest financing during the peak of the inventory crunch, when there was nothing on the lots and dealers had all the leverage, are now falling behind. Some are months behind. Some are already getting calls from collection agencies. Think back to that Honda Accord on the CarMax lot. At 22.95% interest and $617 a month, that buyer is one unexpected expense away from missing a payment. One medical bill, one job disruption, and that Accord goes back to the lender. This is what I call the ultimate wealth killer, and it is not rare. It is everywhere in the car market right now. Here is where it hits CarMax directly. A massive portion of CarMax's revenue does not come from the car sale itself. It comes from the financing. When buyers start defaulting on those loans, that revenue stream dries up alongside the sales numbers. Then CarMax gets tighter with approvals. Fewer buyers qualify. Fewer cars sold. Less cash flowing through the business. It is a cycle that feeds on itself and accelerates fast. This is what a house of cards looks like from the inside. Everything built on debt, buyer debt, easy approvals, high-rate financing wrapped in a no-haggle bow. And now that debt is caving in from the bottom up. The consumer did not fail the car market. The car market put the consumer in an impossible position and then acted surprised when they couldn't hold on. But as bad as all of this is, some of what's happening to CarMax right now is entirely their own fault. When a company loses half its value in 6 months, you can argue about the reasons. You can blame the market, blame interest rates, blame consumer spending. But when that same company fires its CEO in the middle of the collapse, the argument is over. Something is seriously, fundamentally broken, and the people at the top know it. In roughly 6 months, CarMax shed approximately half the total value of their company, not half their profits, not half their quarterly revenue, half the company, gone. And during that exact same stretch of time, the broader stock market was hitting multiple all-time highs. Every other sector was climbing while CarMax was sinking. That is not bad luck. That is a company-specific crisis playing out in plain sight. The board saw it. Investors saw it, and eventually, the CEO was gone. Leadership changes at this level do not happen quietly or casually. You do not remove the person running a multi-billion-dollar operation unless the situation has reached a point where something dramatic has to visibly change. It is a signal, the company saying, through action rather than words, that whatever was being done before was not working. But the CEO leaving is not even the most damaging part. The lawsuits are. Multiple class action lawsuits have been filed against CarMax by shareholders. The core claim is that CarMax misled investors, that while the business was quietly deteriorating, the public messaging stayed optimistic. Earnings call after earnings call, the story out of CarMax headquarters was essentially, "This is temporary. Demand is coming back. Things are going to recover. Just wait." But then the next earnings report came, and the story was the same, and the one after that. Blip after blip after blip, while the stock kept sliding and shareholders kept absorbing losses they were told weren't coming. When investors feel misled, they do not just sell the stock and move on. They hire lawyers. And that legal cloud does something beyond the immediate financial damage. It poisons the reputation. It creates an aura of distrust that follows every press release and every forward-looking statement the company makes. CarMax trimmed prices by a few percent, a gesture that solved nothing and convinced nobody. When your product is $5,000 to $10,000 above what a buyer will pay, shaving off 2% is not a strategy. It is a press release. The market didn't just turn on CarMax. CarMax handed the market a reason to turn, and now they are boxed in from every direction. Here is why getting out of that box is almost impossible. Here is the trap that makes everything you just heard even worse. Because at this point, a reasonable person is thinking the answer is obvious. Just lower the prices, CarMax. Drop the stickers. Get the cars moving again. Simple. But it is not simple. Not even close. And the reason comes down to one competitor that has CarMax locked in a stranglehold they cannot break out of. That competitor is Carvana. CarMax and Carvana operate nearly identical business models. Both buy used cars from consumers. Both mark up their inventory and wrap financing around the sale. And critically, both draw from the exact same pool of consumer-sourced inventory. The same cars, the same sellers, the same marketplace. That shared supply chain is the key to understanding why CarMax cannot slash prices and survive. Here is how the trap works. Take that $24,000 Honda Accord on the CarMax lot. CarMax knows it is overpriced. The logical move is to drop it to $20,000, a number where someone will actually sign. But to sell that Accord for $20,000 and still make money, CarMax needs to buy it for around $17,000 to $18,000. That is the math that keeps the lights on. Here is the problem. Carvana is out in the market right now offering consumers $22,000 to $23,000 for that same Accord, just to keep their own inventory pipeline stocked. So when a consumer gets a $22,000 offer from Carvana and a $17,000 offer from CarMax, where do they go? Every single time. It is not even a decision. CarMax can drop their retail prices, but they cannot drop their acquisition prices to match, because Carvana will simply outbid them for every vehicle that comes to market. Lower the sticker, lose the ability to restock. Lose the ability to restock, run out of inventory. Run out of inventory, and there is no business left to save. Now think about the scale of what is sitting on these lots. Hundreds of thousands of vehicles across every CarMax location in the country. If they mark down all of that inventory to prices buyers will actually pay, the balance sheet hit is catastrophic. Billions of dollars in write-downs absorbed all at once. That does not fix the company. That accelerates the collapse. This is what being caught between a rock and a hard place actually looks like. Not as a figure of speech, as a financial reality playing out across thousands of acres of unsold inventory. CarMax did not just stumble into a bad quarter. They built a model that worked beautifully in one market and has no exit strategy in another. And the buyers who don't know what they're walking into are about to find out the hard way. Let's talk about the car that started this whole conversation. The 2024 Jeep Wagoneer sitting on this lot is not just an overpriced SUV on a struggling used car lot. It is the perfect symbol of everything that has gone wrong. The original owner paid close to $100,000 for that Wagoneer, brand new, just over a year ago. They drove off the lot believing they had purchased something of lasting value. Now it is sitting here with a $56,000 sticker. CarMax probably gave $45,000 for it, maybe a little more. Do the math. That original buyer lost roughly $50,000 in 12 months, not in a crash, not because of mechanical failure, just because time passed and the market told the truth that the dealership never did. The Wagoneer is not alone. Walk this lot and you will find the same story wearing different badges. Overpriced luxury SUVs and near-luxury trucks that manufacturers inflated during the inventory shortage, when buyers were so desperate they paid anything just to get a vehicle. Those same vehicles are now on their second major depreciation wave, already hammered once when they left the original lot, and still sitting here at prices that haven't fully corrected. This is the hidden danger for anyone shopping at CarMax right now. In many cases, you are buying someone else's catastrophic loss at a price that has not finished dropping. And if you finance that purchase at a high interest rate, you are underwater before you reach the first stoplight. The vehicles quietly holding their value while everything around them crumbles are the ones that were never overpriced to begin with. A well-maintained Toyota RAV4 holds its value because the market knows it will still be running strong at 200,000 miles. A Honda CR-V holds its value because repair bills stay low, insurance stays reasonable, and buyers trust the name at resale time. These are not exciting answers, but they are the right ones. Mechanics will tell you the same thing. The vehicles showing up on flatbeds before 100,000 miles are not the Toyotas and Hondas. They are the over-engineered, overhyped models that looked incredible in the showroom and started falling apart the moment the warranty expired. $50,000 in losses in 1 year. No accident, no flood damage. Just the market catching up to a price that was never real in the first place. That is the vehicle sitting on this CarMax lot. And somewhere out there is a buyer who does not know any of this yet, walking straight toward it. There is one lifeline left on CarMax's calendar. One moment every year where the used car market gets a shot of adrenaline and dealers across the country exhale for a few weeks. Tax refund season. Late February into March. For used car dealers, this is Christmas morning. Buyers show up with cash in hand, down payments ready, and a motivation to finally pull the trigger on a purchase they have been putting off for months. I see it every single year from the inside. At my own dealership, if I have 150 cars on the lot heading into the end of February, they are gone in 3 to 4 weeks. CarMax is not going to sell out. They have too much inventory for that, but they will feel the bump. Sales will spike. Numbers will look better for a quarter. And somewhere in a boardroom, someone will point to those figures and call it a recovery. But here is the danger hiding inside that optimism. CarMax is almost certainly forecasting for this bump right now, planning around it, possibly acquiring more inventory in anticipation of higher demand. And if the bump hits as expected, they get a temporary reprieve, a reason to tell investors things are stabilizing. But what happens if it does not hit the way they are expecting? Auction prices spike during tax season because every dealer is stocking up simultaneously. prices get inflated. And then, the moment tax season ends and the refund checks have been spent, prices fall off a cliff. Demand dries up almost overnight. If CarMax loads up on high-priced inventory and that tax season bump underperforms, if refund checks are smaller, buyers more cautious, or lenders tightening approvals, they are left holding even more overpriced inventory on the other side of April. Inventory they paid peak season prices for. Inventory now worth less than they paid. That is not a recovery. That is the hole getting deeper. And the structural problems do not disappear after spring. The supply shortage does not fix itself in a quarter. The consumer debt crisis does not resolve because tax returns hit bank accounts for a few weeks. The forces squeezing CarMax from every direction are slow-moving and deeply embedded. A seasonal bump is a band-aid on a wound that needs surgery. The real question is not whether CarMax survives tax season. It is whether they survive what comes after it. Here is what all of this comes down to. CarMax did not collapse because of one bad decision. They built an empire on a model that required everything to go right. And when multiple things went wrong simultaneously, there was no safety net. Just a fixed markup on a broken foundation, and hundreds of thousands of cars sitting on lots that nobody can afford. The Wagoneer buyer did not lose $50,000 because they were foolish. They lost it because they trusted a system designed to extract maximum value at the moment of purchase, with no regard for what happened after they drove away. The dealership won. The manufacturer won. CarMax won when they acquired it. The buyer absorbed every dollar of loss alone. That is the car market working exactly as it was designed to work. Not for you, for everyone else in the transaction. But here is the one thing you can control: the decision you make before you sign anything. Which car you buy matters. Where you buy it matters. How you finance it matters enormously. The difference between a vehicle that holds 73% of its value after 5 years and one that loses half in 12 months is not luck. It is information. That is exactly why I put together a free ebook, Avoid These 17 Cars in 2026. It covers the specific models most likely to drain your wallet through depreciation, repair costs, and financing traps, including several probably sitting on a CarMax lot near you right now. The link is in the description. It costs nothing and could save you tens of thousands on your next purchase. Because the smartest thing you can do in a broken market is walk in knowing more than the person selling to you. If this video opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. What is the worst car deal you have ever seen or experienced? Let us hear it.